Shabbat Shalom. A little closer there. There have been a lot of power struggles in my house lately. We have a child who just turned 2 years old. So, yeah, there are things that a month ago, even a week ago, would have been simple. David, it's time for breakfast. Breakfast! David putting on shoes, great. All right, here's your shirt, here's your pants, great. But now that he's 2, it's never the right shoes, it's never the right yogurt, or we only want that kind of yogurt. I'm not wearing that shirt. It's everything is a power struggle with my freshly minted 2-year-old. Yes, it's great. And I did what every millennial parent would do. I Googled the situation. I just needed to see what the internet had to say. I thought, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I should be approaching this situation. Maybe there's something wrong with him. Maybe we need to see a specialist. I don't know. Googled, I can see those of you who've had 2-year-olds before are laughing a little bit. I can tell even through the mask. Google said that he is a perfectly developmentally appropriate 2-year-old. That apparently during toddlerhood, children start trying to exert control over their surroundings, over their lives. They want to have power. The problem is, I also would like to have some control, a lot of control, over his life, just to make things easier. And so we end up being in these situations like, for example, we've arrived at yogurt for breakfast. Wonderful. I give him the yogurt. Great. There's a spoon in the yogurt. He looks me dead in the eye, takes a nice big scoop, and just it's great. It's really great. You should have kids, everybody. He's such a little pisher. It's hard not to feel, as a parent, very frustrated, of course, but you feel like you're not being a good mom. You feel like you're not doing good at this parenting thing with this new independent toddler. Frankly, though, control can be tough at any age. I've been told that the power struggles only get worse. Yup. I know that feeling intimately. At least he's wearing a cute suit. You could not get my kid in a suit. I've been told power struggles only get worse as your kids get older. I'm told 3 is worse than 2. Yep, we're getting the nods. And those of you with teenagers can sympathize, I'm sure. And those of you who are teenagers, I bet it seems like your parents and your teachers and school, everyone wants to control your life and doesn't really want to share any of the control over your own life with you. It's frustrating. And even between adults, between actual grown-up adults, loosening control can be hard to do. Think about when you're at work and you're working on a project. You're working with someone who doesn't want to just budge, and they just will never budge, and it's their way and no other way. Think about when you're at home. This is a common one. Maybe the kitchen. That's a good power struggle area, the kitchen. Like the dishwasher has to be loaded a certain way, and you have to do it that one way, and there's no other way to do it. It's only their way. And if you can't tell, in my house, it's not my way with the dishwasher. I don't care about the dishwasher, but apparently there's a right way to do it, and that's it, and I have no control over that situation. All of this is to say that sharing, especially sharing control, is tough. It's tough for kids, it's tough for teens, it's tough for adults. It's tough at home, it's tough at school, it's tough at work. Sharing control is hard to do. Loosening our grip, it's a tough skill to learn, which is probably why the Torah is so bent on us learning it. We read today all about the Shemitah, the sabbatical year, the Yovel, the Jubilee. Okay, so for 6 years you farm your land, you farm. Apparently in ancient times, Jews were farmers, very common. On the 7th year, though, hands off that land. That land gets a Shabbat. You can't touch your land, you can't farm it, you can't till it, you can't water it, nothing. That's Shemitah. And for 49 years, you can own your land. That's your land. You should build on it. You can do whatever you want. You can have indentured servants. On the 50th year, all the land goes back to its original owners. All the people, all your servants, go back to being free. That's the Yovel. But the thing about Shemitah and Yovel, sabbatical and Jubilee, land rules like those only apply to Israel. Farming land in Israel, owning land in Israel. So for us in America, it seems a little irrelevant. And owning indentured servants, it's safe to say that no one does that currently. But these rules, they're not just about regulating land ownership and indentured servitude. They're about control. Specifically about learning to loosen control. Because we're allowed to use land to build our business, to build our lives, control our lives. We're allowed to do that. The Torah just gives us these little built-in reminders to loosen the control over our lives and over others' lives by stepping back regularly. Reminding us as we get so busy building our lives, making them look the way we want them to look, that part of having control, being in control, is giving up a little control too. I know it seems antithetical, like I get to dictate the terms of my own life. This is my business. This is my home. This is my kitchen. That's my kid. But the Torah is just saying they're really not. Not entirely, not completely, not all the time. And it teaches us this very purposefully. Why? It says, Al tanu ish et achiv, so you do not wrong each other. When we do not learn to loosen our control at home, at work, at school, we run the risk of doing wrong by other folks. We've all been on the receiving end of someone who can't share at all, who has to have control over every little thing. You know what I'm talking about because it has happened to you. It doesn't end well. It doesn't feel good. And we end up torturing ourselves as well, because when we try to control every single thing, we end up frustrated, and we feel like we're failures. So the Torah builds these breaks into our lives to teach us that even as we are trying to keep our lives moving, run our business, our home, raise our kids, that we must not try to keep all the control for ourselves, lest we become tyrants over others or over ourselves. And that part of being in charge is learning to loosen our grip on the reins, at least every once in a while. Now, I know none of you own indentured servants, and is Carrie here still? So there's like maybe there's one farmer out there, but he doesn't own land in Israel, so I know that none of you is a farmer in Israel. So none of the literal laws of Shemitah and Yovel apply literally to you, to me. But their essence does for all of us. We must be aware in our own lives when we are holding the reins too tightly and practice loosening control. Doesn't have to be big. Could be giving up the remote a little bit. Maybe someone else can load the dishwasher however they want. Could be letting your 2-year-old eat his yogurt with his hands and run his hands through his hair and on his face and on the table, because it's his yogurt and you want to give him some control. All of us benefit by learning to loosen the control over our own lives and over others' lives, just a little bit. And hopefully when we do so, we can breathe a little more freely, because I think it can be freeing to remember that ultimately we have very little control in life. And so as long as we're trying our best, trying our hardest, we are doing good enough. Shabbat Shalom.